Hey guys, this is Dr. Beluja. So today we are going to talk about a couple of things. Today we're going to talk about, number one is, does alcohol use disorder actually lead to diabetes, and does alcohol lead to diabetes? We'll be right with you in a second. All right. So does this lead to diabetes? And the answer will be as follows. All right. Share screen. All right. So let's get right to it. So this is an interview with Amir Khan. But before we go there, let's go to, of course, this movie. Nah, this is not really what we're looking for. We're looking for the drinking song. This one. So that would be more than moderate, I think. So there's this thing called a J-shaped curve that says that moderate drinking is okay. However, non-moderate drinking or heavy drinking more than 4 to 5 cups. I think that was more than 4 to 5 cups right there. And then let's see about. And all right, so he broke the glass, which is probably not very safe. So, and everybody's dancing and drinking, which is sound like a good high school party. All right, so that's that. So this is pretty great. I think that both of these actors don't really drink at all. So, but they do. It's pretty awesome acting. Sure, it's pretty difficult to dance around with a bunch of bottles. All right. So the idea here, and this interview with Amir Khan, as far as this guy who says that he's an expert when he's undergoing alcohol withdrawal. So this guy fasted on Gokulashtami, and then he was able to stop alcohol. That's a whole different topic. We're going to go into that in a different video, but this is really interesting because the literature that's out there talks to alcohol abuse and diabetes. Is it says moderate alcohol, and this is in this paper that was published in 2014, and it says moderate alcohol consumption is defined as 1 drink per day for women and up to 2 drinks per day for men, and is socially accepted behavior endorsed by greater than 50% of adults in the United States. Harmful alcohol encompassing both alcohol binge drinking, consuming greater than 4 to 5 drinks on a single occasion, generally under a 2-hour period. Now, if you want to extrapolate that to stroke also has this J-shaped curve, which is 1 to 2 drinks per day, and then it goes up to moderate, which is moderate, and then up beyond 1 to 2 drinks per day is thought of as heavy drinking. So we have to be super careful as far as this is concerned, because now we're in 2020, and in 2020 there's no real endorsement of daily alcohol use that's actually given by anybody. There's 3 million people that die, but yes, diabetes is caused by this. But it's an interesting thought process because if you go through and you Google alcohol use, and in 2010 there was this paper, alcohol use and diabetes. Let's see if we can find it. Let's go back. Let's go back to PubMed. There is this paper that talks about physiological processes in organ injury and alcohol use. And it said that basically you have higher risk for cardiovascular disease problems, high blood pressure, cholesterol, as well as obesity and diabetes. Let's look at that. So let's look directly at the Morris paper that talked about that. Let's talk about cardiovascular and metabolic function. And these papers are free. And so oftentimes you can go through and look yourself to see, what exactly is taking place. So here in this paper, let's go through, find diabetes. Let's see. Let's go through and say Western societies are ripe for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and obesity, and so are Eastern societies, especially in India. 26 million have diabetes, and 80 million were obese in 2010. Poor diet, physical activity, and underlying causes for their disease have been researched for decades. However, there's evidence that's accumulating for contributing role of circadian timing systems in disruption of cardiovascular and metabolic disorders. So if there's disruption in the circadian timing, that can be disrupted by alcohol, and alcohol can disrupt it. So they're saying there's an indirect possible relationship. Now, the effect of chronic alcohol ingestion on the whole body, muscle protein synthesis here, which is found on Google Scholar. Take a look here. Let's see what Dr. Pacey has to say, and this was back in 1991. And she said that the effect of chronic alcohol ingestion on whole body and muscle protein synthesis showed that for the first time in man, that chronic alcohol suppresses fractional quadriceps muscle protein synthesis, which we suggest is a major causative factor for proximal myopathy seen in such patients. And so oftentimes, I remember right out of my fellowship, I was called on a man who could not lift up his right leg, and there you go. He had alcohol-induced myopathy, and it's something that's very well known that's there in these patients. So, and if you look at AmericanAddictionCenters.org, they say 7 facts about diabetes and alcohol use, the link between alcohol abuse and diabetes, consequences of alcohol and diabetics. And let's take a look at the NIA.gov, because these guys, at least governments, seem to be a little bit better. And they say an estimate of 16 million people in the United States with diabetes. And some of the pathophysiology about this discusses how heavy drinking, and particularly in diabetics, can cause accumulation of certain acids in the blood that may result in severe health consequences. Finally, alcohol consumption can worsen diabetes-related complications such as fat metabolism, nerve damage, and eye disease. So yes, heavy drinking, we know, can be associated with diabetes. You can also burn out your pancreas and your insulin by the sugar content that is in these drinks. So it's an important thing to notice and to talk about. So now, I think the thing that we can go through and talk about in addition to this is how do these studies actually, and how does meditation actually help with this? And so this comes to this guy. Very interesting interview. This guy went to Alcohol Anonymous. So this is going back to this guy talking about injection legal. So very interesting. Oh, let's go here. Let's go here. It's on Gokulashtami, and Gokulashtami is a religious holiday choose, the supreme God of your choice or the supreme thought process of your choice. But it's an interesting thought process where he underwent some sort of fasting. And here is where the idea of whether you call it universal law, whether you call it Newton's third law, or you call it karma, or you call it whatever it is that you want to, or dying for one sin, and all these things. These things are all related to a causal relationship. So right here, this guy talks about Gokulashtami. And so what happened is he fasted on this day, Gokulashtami, and then he was able to stay alcohol-free for 14 years. And this reasoning that he was able to do this most likely is because of what's called the karma quotient. And basically what takes place here in this quotient is that you have an increased amount of good karma coming in from fasting and doing these things. So he was able to take this. And that good karma allows him to actually get out of the cycle of alcohol use and abuse simply by him being able to lift up the phone and take the phone and call the right number. Now, what's interesting in this is he says this. He says that I am not able to dial the right number at the beginning. So he came home from Gokulashtami. He didn't eat anything the whole day. And then after the fast was broken, he opened it with alcohol. This is an amazing story because this just shows you how close, the reactions of karma come. Like he's really working hard, he's fasting, and then the karmic reaction ended up allowing him to win in the situation. And now he's in such an amazing situation where he is free from this because that gave him the momentum to find help and do the right thing. Then he joined Alcoholics Anonymous, and then he was successful in that. So it's an interesting sequence of events that took place. So he first wrote down the number incorrectly. So this is interesting. So it's a very funny story. Then he was able to get it the second one. So first time he got the number, and then he said, God, look, I'm trying to quit here, and you gave me the wrong number. I dialed the wrong number. I called some random guy, and the guy's like, look, man, like I have no idea. Are you crazy? And then the second time he saw the number. He's drunk at this time. He saw the number and he writes it down again. So, and then he tries to leave it. So that is essence of yoga right here, because there's a karmic reaction. He engaged in a yogic activity, which is fasting on an auspicious day, as an observance, whatever faith he observed it in. He gained good karmic credits, and those karmic credits were then used to allow him to actually find the help that he needed and to have that impetus to actually find the help that he needed. Pretty cool. So it's always a good idea to gain those good karmic credits, and that's exactly how this works. So what's interesting though is that Amir Khan, who is also an addict himself, is sitting here and listening. He's also gaining good karmic credits, probably by listening to the story and allowing other people to hear the story. He's not able to leave tobacco because he probably hasn't undergone an austerity to that point where he's able to actually leave it. If he does undergo that austerity. Now, it doesn't have to be that harsh. You don't have to fast the whole day. You can probably just meditate one whole day and start and get the impetus to probably go and get help, whether you pick up, if you're smoking, whether you pick up Nicorette or whether you pick up any other medication such as naloxone for alcohol use disorder or for opioid use disorder. If you go out and you try to get buprenorphine or that. So that's the thought process, is that the first things first is to actually get over that edge. Now, the more you meditate, the more you actually gain that karmic quotient, which you can actually then say, okay, I'm no longer interested in this behavior. And here's what's actually the most interesting part of this. So Jaya, in my book, which is listed below, is a guy who talks about addictions and talks about these things, and he is sort of one of these people that's very elevated. And you can go ahead and just click on the link in my book. It's a 37 to 40-page book. It's like 99 rupees in India. It's like $3 in America. And this can get you well on your way to building that karma very quickly. Now, the issue here is what he talks about is that these bodies themselves can actually be addicting, which is a very, very harsh reality. So not only can the addicted body be addicted to something, the actual body can be addiction for the soul. So that is superiorly interesting. And it's something that is talked about as a cycle, is that these bodies themselves are actually addictions for the soul. You have to be very careful about that relationship between actually obtaining and using a body. Now, does that mean everybody should go kill themselves? No. You should use this as a tool in order to elevate yourself spiritually, so you find no need to actually experience and express yourself through a body again at the time that you are ready for that level of consciousness.